cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white.
Hello everybody, welcome to SimRacers World TV. My name is Hasse Rømer and I'm joined by a fresh face in the booth indeed. It's Cameron Horse beside me and or virtually beside me, I'd like to say, because we are indeed separated by a few thousand kilometers. But it is my utmost of pleasures to have you along, Cameron. And we are here for the 7th round of SimracerCoin Sunday GT3 Masters. And Lamont, the fastest track in the world, some might say, at least the fastest track in Europe. And certainly one of the places with the most legend attached to it, Cameron. A place you know quite well yourself, and as such, what are your expectations for the racing to see here tonight?
Well, first off, hello everybody. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be in the booth for the first time ever. I was going to say in a while, but yeah, first time ever. It's good to be here. I heard some very, very good things about this race series, and I'm looking to see what can happen. The results through the first few races have been incredible. Matthew Forrest has been dominating, and behind him just Peter Plasto and Martin de Jong. So I am really looking forward to see what Matthew can do and see if anyone can fight him for the win tonight. It's the Lamborghini is quite a big deficit around here, due to its a little bit of lack of straight line speed in accordance to the other cars. But yeah, I'm hoping to see some good racing.
I think we're certainly going to be in for that. That has been the trademark of this series so far. Of course, the series names more at the gentleman level of racing, and I think that makes it all the more exciting in the end, because it brings a certain level of unpredictability to it as well. We do have bigger variation in results, and it's a lovely series. We have a great amount of participants as well, and people tend to stay, which is often, I think, also a great testament to the fun that people have while racing here. So I think we're in for another good one here. It's been a few weeks since I was last here live, and I think it's been an entire month actually since we had round 6 of the Sunday GT Masters, which is of course a series running on a yearly schedule. So this is the 2021 season. We're about halfway through by now. And as Matthew Forrest takes a little bit too much curb there on the exit to Unadier, and he finds himself spinning around like Kylie Minogue there, Cameron.
Yes, he does. I don't know if he's going to have those problems in the race. Maybe he's just testing the limits, as he usually do in practice. It's bad to wish for someone to crash, but I'd like to see things change up a little bit. I'd like to see someone else take the win tonight. I think it would be very, nice just to see other people start to win. I know Peter Plasto has been doing some really, really good laps here, and I know he's been really, really good all season. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing what people can do, seeing what laps they put in qualifying, just get an understanding of everybody's pace, and we'll go from there. As you said in the introduction, this is one of the fastest tracks in Europe, if not the fastest track in Europe, and it's going to be good. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm glad to be here.
It's always a very special kind of racing, and unlike anything I think we see anywhere else at Le Mans, because it's with the length of the straights, and of course especially when looking at it at a historical in a historical perspective, if you will, with the glasses of history firmly attached to your eyes, and in remembrance of the old Mulsanne straight and the extreme top speeds that were recorded here back in the days. I think the Peugeot took that record with a 403 km/h run, and that was in race here. Dirk Reski finds it slippery as well.
I kept out the wall. Good man.
Indeed. So we're looking at a track temperature here of 22 degrees, Cameron, and as such, it should, at least in that sense, be relatively manageable for the drivers.
Oh, well, as you said that, you see that Mercedes? Oh, whoa! That's a big crash.
So the chicanes here on the Mulsanne straight throwing people off. I think perhaps you would expect people maybe not to have that much experience with driving at Le Mans in the GT3 cars, and they do have a notable deficit in downforce compared to the GTE machines that you usually race around here. And that could throw people off because they feel quite similar, but there just isn't the same level of aerodynamic grip. And of course, slightly narrower tires on the GT3 spec machines as well, as the drivers are indeed finding it tricky Now here the Dunlop chicane and Alfredo Tricarici, who pulls off, might having completed a lap. And that's another thing here, Cameron. A lap is indeed long. It's not quite the Nürburgring, but we're talking lap times just around 4 minutes for the GT3s here, and that makes for a lot of learning if you're to really nail in every corner.
Yeah, there's, as you said, there's not really many GT3 cars that drive around here. I don't think there's ever been an official race with proper GT3 cars. I may be wrong. I may be completely wrong. There may be GT3 cars in the 24 hours one year, but I don't think I've ever seen GT3 cars race around here. And the difference between GT3s and GTEs is massive. GTEs have minimal traction control and no ABS. These have everything. These are gentleman drivers' cars. Anyone can drive them. They are road cars with wings and splitters. They're quite easy to drive. They've got less weight, and they're nothing like the bigger GTE cars. I'd say GTE cars are the step up from GT3, given that people go to GTE cars to just learn more about cars and brakes and traction control and things like that. And yeah, this race should be very interesting, given the length of the straights, the height of the curbs, because it may not seem like a lot, but some of the curbs around here are very, very, very big. They're made for GTE cars. They're just coming into Indianapolis in a couple of seconds. We're riding on board with Bruno Guerrez. It's going to be... You'll see how high the curbs are. There's the one on your right, just underneath the Toyota board there, in the Courbe de Golf, and now coming into the S's of Indianapolis. That curb there, there's a massive dip, and that can unsettle the car massively, especially on this this setup, this track in these cars. It's going to be interesting for sure.
And I wonder if did he indeed?
He clipped the wall with the back of his car. If you can we have a look at the back of his car?
Yeah, I think we can indeed. We'll flip the camera here.
So he just got away with it.
Yeah, I think it looked like a Swift netcode. That's what we've seen before in iRacing. That the sim is sort of in doubt. Did he touch? Gives him the damage, and then I think he gets away with it with the benefit of the doubt, but that was within centimeters, I think, Cameron. Very close indeed here.
Very, very close.
As he's coming through the Porsche Curves, in a place that really breaks the flow of the rest of the circuit. So different, and this is the place where you want a radically different setup on the car. And speaking of setups, I believe this to be a fixed setup round, but I'm actually not sure, and I'm trying to get confirmation of this, because the matter of fact is that this series has a 50% fixed setup and 50% open setup to the rounds of racing, and they of course vary 1-to-1. So it's even are the one and odd rounds are the other. And I actually, to be honest, and I'm slightly embarrassed about it, but I have to admit that I simply don't remember. And I've been searching far and wide for the information, but I haven't been able to dig it up as well. Somebody could probably help me out in chat. And Nick McLaughlin, before I've ended the sentence, is right there with a beautiful mate. Thank you. And by the way, welcome everybody to SimRacers World TV for this 7th round of action. Welcome in chat. So nice to have you all along, watching on YouTube only tonight, because we're competing with ourselves and the Apex Tech LMP2 series that's on tonight, as well. As I keep talking, we've got qualifying underway, Cameron.
Yeah, it's going to be... Well, you can see all the cars going out on track at once, wanting to get out first. I don't think that's the best tactic here. I think you want to be behind someone to get the slipstream all the way down the straight. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what people do, how they warm their tyres up, things like that. And I think we'll go on a one lap with our championship leader, Matthew Forrest. I've actually raced around Lamont in real life. Obviously, big circuit. Not yet. I've raced around the Bugatti circuit, and I won there. So I have a good understanding of this track, even this is a long circuit. But I've known this circuit for a while. it's definitely interesting coming through the first few sectors. It's very, very hard to slow down for the first chicane. It's very, very hard. Going through Dunlop Curve, and you can hardly get the car slowed down. It likes to skid around everywhere. As we see an Audi just going past Matthew there. What we do like to see in these races is some very, very clean races, and I know that the races have been like that pretty much all of the time. So it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting to see what people are doing before warming their tyres up, getting the slipstreams. As we see Matthew just going for a pass there on an Audi. I don't know who that is at the moment. We have no relative up.
I think that's Robert van den Heuvel, actually, series organizer, or is it? Because he's not even on track yet. So I'll be proven wrong once in a while. It's one of those very occasions. That's
number 19 is going to be.
Yeah,
number 19.
I'll look down through the order of cars here to find the 19 Audi in the field. I don't see a 19 car. That's actually a little bit weird. So that makes it hard for us as well.
79. That was probably what it was. It's Martin de Jong.
Of course, Martin de Jong. And you mentioned earlier as well, Kim, the battle we had and the battles we've had over the course of this season, Pete Plastow. We've had very much involved Nick McLaughlin as well, Stephen Orwell up there as well, and then last year's champion, very much so, but I don't think he's on the grid here tonight, which of course means that if that's the case, that'd be a major disappointment for him indeed. But let's see, still time, and you have to wonder there, Cohen Mulder, if he's gonna take this as a drop round. Maybe he's not available for racing, or he might not really like Lamont at all here. Martin de Jong coming into the Porsche Curves. We spoke about it before, and of course with open setups they'll have the ability to choose the longer ratio gearbox on the GT3s, the Daytona spec ratios, which I think will come in handy with the very, very long straights here. But that of course also explains why a fair few of the drivers would indeed have problems with keeping the car facing the right way when they fight bends, because the wings will basically be flat on these machines, trying to gain as much top speed as possible. Of course, a 45-minute race following the tried and tested VRS format. So a 45-minute race and a 50% fuel size cap, meaning the drivers will have to take a pit stop around the 30-minute marker. And obviously we're not expecting anyone to take tires. There are no fast repairs, so it's all about keeping your nose clean. And I think, Cam, at Le Mans here, what we usually see is that once a race settles down, it has a tendency to be quite clean indeed. Having said that, the opening 1 or 2 laps at this track also has a tendency to be quite chaotic.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely cars that go off left, right, and centre. As we just see Martin Young slowing down there. There's definitely cars that go off quite a bit at Le Mans through the first few laps, but after the first few laps, it starts to thin out. The cars start to get slipstreams, as usually passing on the Mulsanne, and they don't usually risk it through corners. But then you get some people that decide to risk it through corners, and that is when you get the characteristic of Le Mans, which is incredible racing, anytime and anywhere. As we're just watching Timothy van der Broek coming down the second part of the Mulsanne. Obviously, he is going purple on his lap. Because he hasn't set a lap yet.
Yeah,
but
first lap to be set here, but they're only gonna have 4 attempts. I think they might be able to, or I'm sorry, 3 attempts could be squeezed out. They can make it across for a final one, but it is gonna be mind you, might that just be 2 actually, because we'll take about 4 minutes to do the first one. They're on the first fly an hour, 6 minutes in. It'll be 8 minutes before they complete this one.
Nah, they'll get 3 in.
Yeah, you reckon so?
Yeah, they should do. If they don't spin. If they spin, then yeah, it's not going to be...
Oh yeah, because the last one starts at 12. Then that makes sense. So they should get 3 laps in. Barring any incidents, of course. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Robert van der Heuvel just getting disconnected, unfortunately, from the session. Very unfortunate for him. Hopefully, next lap we'll be able to ride on board with Matthew Forrest. Just to see what his lines he's taking, see where he's going, what he's doing. So Matthew Forrest had an incident, I think.
Oh, let's have a look at that. We'll do our best to see if we can dig it up from our... I don't see anything to his...
Matthew Forrest did not have an incident, that's on me.
But he just came out the pits. Yeah, he just came out the pits though. He might have had... Well, he might have gotten either a slowdown penalty or an off track somewhere. That could have impeded him. So he'll be on an outlap now. Yet again.
And he has no slipstream at all.
I was just about to say he's completely isolated there and far away from everybody. And with the lack of speed that you mentioned on the long straights there that the Lambo does tend to suffer from, he might be in a tough position indeed. But we'll have to see.
On a massive curveball.
We'll have to see just how that plays out here. Timothy van der Broek coming around to complete his lap, the Dutchman, in the 611 BMW M4 GT3 prototype.
Timothy van der Broek sitting P7 in the championship at the moment from the Netherlands. So hopefully he'll be able... Yeah, let's run on board with him for his second lap. See what he can do. And I'll talk you through it as well. So coming down into the Dunlop curves, just underneath the Michelin banner there, you want to stay as left as you can, turn in right as late as possible, get the perfect line, braking the first total marker, trying to get the car slowed down frantically, as he just about does, using all of the curb on the right hand side, drifting over to the left, and using all of the curb on the left hand side, all of the curb on the right hand side, trying to get as much speed as you can, going into the Descente de la Chapelle is what it's called, and then going underneath the Pays de la Loire sign into Tetra Rouge, carrying as much speed as you can, trying to get a little bit of a slide on just to get the car rotated, and using all of the curb on the exit that is possible, and then coming down onto the Mulsanne. I don't know what speed these cars hit at the end of the Mulsanne, but I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? Coming down through the Mulsanne, foot flat to the floor, and you're looking for a little yellow board, a little yellow break in the wall on the left hand side. There it is, braking right there. You need to be really far over to the left, using all of the curb on the right, all of the curb on the left, and then getting on the power as soon as you can to get the best run onto the second Mulsanne straight, pushing as hard as you can into the second ralentisseur, or second chicane as we know it. Foot flat to the floor. You should hit just over 270. Oh wow, he's going to hit 280? 281 kilometers an hour before he's braking into the left-hand chicane, through the right-hander, using all of the curb again, and all of the curb on the left. On the outside of the track, you see 2 little dotted white lines. They're actually the track limits around on the straights. So if you go over that too far, then you could get an off-track or even a penalty, which is, you just do have to be careful if you've got 4 wheels over there. Looking at the cone on the left, straight into the right, braking at the curb in the corner, not getting it slowed down enough, or only just without going off track. That's Timothy's lap, I think, over. Obviously it won't be as quick as he wanted, but it's still pretty quick. Coming down on the 3rd straight, or the Golf Straight as we know it, underneath the Toyota board through Courbe de Golf, funnily enough, coming through the S's of Indianapolis, braking quite early or lifting, and then we drifted quite wide there on the wrong side for that corner. just gets it slowed down. You want to use all of the car on the right, braking as late as possible on the left here, and using again all of the curb on the right. You really need to eat the curbs on this track. And now we're coming into Buisson Street, and then this is Buisson Curve, and then just after this we have the very, very famous Porsche Curves on this track. That's what this track is known for. So you've got the right-hander. There we go. That's the Porsche Curve, and then you've got Bridge Curve. I mean, long left-hander, sorry, and then going into Karting Curve. Looks like Timothy has backed off just a little bit so he can get the best run onto his final lap, using all of that runoff area on the right-hand side. Make sure you don't put 4 wheels over, and then just coming into the 4 chicanes now. Through Maison Blanche on your right, using all of the pit exit on the right-hand side, using all of the curves through the chicane. You can use all of it on the left and right. Now these ones are a little bit higher, so you can't really use them. But running out wide, getting a little bit of a slide on, and that is a lap of Lamont. He did not improve on his lap time. He got a 4:59. But Peter Plasto is leading at the moment. Let's see where Matthew Forrest is. He hasn't set a lap yet.
No, we
saw
his outlap not too long ago, and I think he had another problem here.
Yeah, he must
left
have
the pit lane at 6 minutes into the session, and that's about 6 minutes ago now. So he'll be on his hot lap on this lap, and he will make another one. I think at least he will indeed. It won't take him 2 minutes to get around the track from here. So Matthew Forrest with another attempt. Just how will the Lamborghini fare here? It's going to be interesting because it's been so strong. And, well, he's been hit by bad luck as well. So it's not been able to avoid any kind of hardships that's come his way. But it's been a strong display this season so far. And the championship standings do indeed speak their very own language. And I should just mention on this, he does lead 142 points accumulated to his name so far, Matthew Forrest, here as we are making our way to the halfway point of the season, as I mentioned earlier. Peter Plastow, who is on provisional pole position so far here, is second in the standings with 180 points, 118 that is, I'm sorry, to his name. And Martin de Jong with 105, provisionally third. Koen Mulder fourth with 93. Fifth is Gaston Macaroni at the moment, tied with Nick McLaughlin on 91 points, and close to them as well in sixth, or in seventh. That is Timothy Vanderbroek on 89 points. So still a lot of fighting to be had. A lot of infighting here as Matthew Forrest slides there. Coming into the final bit of the Ford chicane, it's very hard to get the car slowed down there. It's a very limited amount of tarmac that you can actually get. It down. He gets it on pole position, a 357.558. And with still a lap to go here, he might even go and improve on that. He certainly doesn't look like a driver slowing down at this point. And that is absolute attack from the championship leader camp.
Are we able to get a relative on for his next lap time?
Yeah, we did actually have that, but I think somehow it seems that it has indeed been taken away from us in SDK. I think that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, we did have that qualifying display, but it was, let's just say, not the best.
Okay.
So that's...
I understand.
So
coming down the Mulsanne now, I wonder if he's going to improve, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think given that he has fuel for 2 laps, there will be a little bit of time to be gained on that alone. And I'm thinking, because it's a long track indeed, and it does require quite a bit of fuel to get around. So the car, and that's another thing here that differs from many other racetracks where it's much more akin to the old Nürburgring as well, that the car is going to feel quite different from lap to lap, and especially when we're considering real life circumstances with the weather coming into consideration as well, you can find the track being, very, very different from, basically each time you come around. And the great Mr. Lamont, Tom Christensen, as a Dane, of course, I've heard him speak about this on many occasions, and certainly one of the big challenges, especially when racing for 24 hours here. And speaking of 24 hours here at Le Mans, Cameron, I actually did a race, the Majors 24 Hours of Le Mans, that took place. I did take part.
Oh, Matthew's gone off.
He's gone wide.
That's a shame.
So that lap is indeed over. That's an off track, and it's going to be his attempt. It's going to be final. It's less than a tenth of a second, by the way, between him and Pete Plastow. But Pete Plastow's in the pits, so he's not going to improve, and it does, as such, look like pole position for Matthew Forrest. Just going to return quickly. So we started yesterday afternoon at 3 o'clock Central European time, as it should be.
Yeah.
And raced on. Sadly, my team had to retire around 4 o'clock in the morning with a blown engine after having suffered engine damage ever so slightly riding one of the curbs, which I felt was a brutal fate, since we didn't put many feet wrong apart from that, and we led for a good bit of the way, and it is indeed the heartbreaking side of endurance racing. Here we are, though, today.
Wow, sorry, I've just seen the lap that Bruno Guerrez has just put in, sitting in P3 in the Mercedes. That is very, very nice.
That is an absolute hammer of a lap as well. 358.25 for Bruno Guerrez for GTZ Bulls in the 750 Mercedes.
I'd just like to point out as well, Martin de Jong, who is P3 in the championship at the moment, is sat down in P6. So he has had not a very good qualifying session for sure.
But sixth place, just to say, if you reverse that a little bit, at Le Mans here, sixth place is by no means disastrous. Those positions can be made up so easily.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And once you hit the straights, it's a big old tango, isn't it? And it takes more than two to tango in this case. It takes an entire field of cars that'll be dancing around one another on the opening laps, and it's going to make it a very interesting show indeed. Anyway, we are at the end of the qualifying session, and as such, we will have the results and the grid order on display within a short amount of time. Indeed, let's hope for it to pop up rather shortly while we enjoy these scenic shots of a still COVID-empty Le Mans. I think it's time for me to adjust my iRacing settings for the next broadcast and bring back spectators, because since spectators are coming back into the world of motorsports in real life, it's very much the time to keep the immersion alive in sim racing and bring back spectators as well. Cameron, a bit of a surprise for you to see the Lamborghini on top of the standings here at the Mans in qualifying?
Yeah, definitely. I know the Lamborghini is very, very quick coming out of corners. It is very, very quick coming out of corners, very, very quick going into corners. But going down the straight, it is not one of the best cars. The Audi is the quickest down the straight, closely followed by the Ferrari. So I was expecting to see more Audis and Ferraris on top. And granted, we have an Audi in P2, a Ferrari in P2, sorry, and an Audi in P4, and a Ferrari in P5. But having a Lamborghini on top, that takes some real talent. But with the Lamborghini in P1, Ferrari in P2, and Mercedes in P3, it's four different manufacturers in the top four. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Just looking through, 5 different manufacturers in the top 7. We have a BMW in 7th place, driven by Timothy van der Broek. Another person from the Netherlands running for Stage 1 Racing. So I genuinely think this is going to be very, very interesting to see what comes out of this race. I don't know what's going to happen. You can't predict anything around Le Mans. You just have to drive around and hope for accidents, which is usually not what happens in racing. But in this case, you just have to hope for accidents. That's the real way you're going to gain positions if you haven't got a slipstream. For P1, so for Matthew Forrest, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to keep that lead going through turn 1 and down the Mulsanne.
And yeah, indeed. Here we go. I'm sorry to cut you off, Cam, but we finally have the grid on display here on screen, and I have to say the drivers should indeed stop parking in the pit lane and just wait for the session to take over, because it gives us such a long wait. Come on. Anyways, all jokes aside, obviously, Matthew Forrest, as you said, Cam, did take pole position ahead of Pete Plasto, both of them for the virtual racing compound. Bruno Guerrez with that lap we saw at the very end of the session, 3rd place, alongside Nicolas Cucato. We've got Gaston Macaroni and Martin de Jong on row 3, ahead of Timothy Vanderbroek and Nick McLaughlin, Emmanuel Lucioli and Jose Codinho on row 5, and they're ahead of Savino Melito and Chris Roberts on row 6. Row 7 is made up of Alfredo Trecarici and Nils Cornelis, with Orkun Korak and Steven Kral in the 7th. Well, that's the 8th row of action. Apologies. 9th row, Craig Thompson and Giambattista Diachetti. And Cody Steek, 19th, ahead of Gary Waldron in the 20th of positions. Federico Calli, 21st, ahead of Mariano Lasarte, Sandacafa, and Stephen Orrell in the vegan Mercedes. 24th and suffering in qualifying here. 25th, that is, Nuno Vinagre ahead of Dirk Reski, Luke Schneider, the German, in 27th. Robert van den Heuvel, Gaston Boro, Chris Pio, who leads the safety standing, still 15 points to his name. That means 3 races he's had where he's been the safest driver with the least amount of incidents, ahead of Timo Paya in 31st and last place. And with that said, Cameron, I think we're ready to get racing here.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. It's going to be really, really fun to see what happens at this race. You can't predict anything, Lamont, as we've learned through the past years of racing here. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens. Stephen Orrell there just saying he's hoping to gain 25 places on lap 1. And then Timothy Vanderbroek saying Wreckfest. So I think this is going to be good.
Well, let's see. Indeed, it does have a reputation of being tough. That very first chicane into Dunlop is indeed difficult to get the car slowed down through the kink and into the chicane. And we'll just have to see how it goes. I think a lot of drivers will be a little nervy here at the start of the race. Matthew Forrest is going to lead him along the pace car, the safety car. That's from commentating on oval racing. It does sneak up on you. And they do call it the pace car over there. But it is indeed the safety car here in Europe. And the Porsche 911, one of the best, one of the prettiest versions of a safety car that I have seen in a very long time. As they exit Virage Corvette, or what is called as karting, I think, or is karting the kinks here, you might know.
That was karting.
That was karting indeed, thank you. So karting, yes.
Just what you're going to get shouted at. That's a 718 GT4 Club Sport. That's a pace car.
Is that a 911?
That's not a 911.
Are you serious? I think you're not correct there. That is a Porsche 911.
Let's ask the stream, because I think you're wrong.
That is a 911. I will. Anyways, we have. There is a 911 GT3, and I think it's coming to the series for the second half of the season. But we have a green flag, and Matthew Forrest takes it away. And let's see if we get everybody cleanly onto the start-finish straight, because that's often a problem in itself. It seems, however, that everybody's gotten along quite nicely, and into turn 1, it's the Lamborghini leading Ferrari, Audi, Mercedes, and another Audi. That's the top 5. And it seems that the monopoly of Ferrari that we've seen before in this series and in the GT3s as a whole, Cameron, is being broken here.
Yeah, the Ferraris should be right up there. The Ferraris are quick on the straights, and we're about to find out how quick they are on the straights with the Ferrari following Matthew Forrest, piloted by Peter Plasto. He should gain a lot of time. Just riding on board here with Emmanuel Lucioli. There we go. I got it in the end. Going side by side into the first chicane. Who is going to come out on top? This is very, very interesting. You see cars moving about left, right, and centre behind this. Going, getting the inside line. And yeah, he let him have it there. Let him have in that position. That's a very smart move. Going too wide again into the chicane. And again, let him have it. Again, a very smart move. Another, hitting the wall there. I don't know who that was.
I suspect that might have been Luke Schneider in the 150 BMW and major damage to his front end. So I'm afraid...
I didn't actually see what happened. I wasn't really watching. I was watching behind it.
Yeah,
he's going to have a lot of straight line speed damage and also through the corners. It doesn't look like he got much suspension damage, but you can see the toe in on that wheel. It's putting out a little bit. And nice flames on that McLaren. Putting out a little bit. So yeah, he'll be down on power on straights and in the corners. Very unfortunate for Luke.
Who's that from 15th place? Who's gone off there in the Ferrari?
And Gaston Borri just having a crash, probably with Robert Van Hoovel there. There's the incident.
The slightest of touches, but it's enough to make them both point the wrong way.
And yeah, nearly flick spin it, nearly got it right.
It's the good old pit limiter trick, but it does make it a little twitchy as a string of cars. And that's one of the Gabbiano McLarens slightly outbraking itself into Mulsanne, but being all right. I think here is Gary Waldron, and this was a driver we saw had a little bit of a moment there in the second Mulsanne chicane in his Audi. Well, that's not true.
Oh no, Timothy van der Broek. Big accident. Robert van den Heuvel has been, and is he going to hit the wall? No, just the gravel trap.
He keeps
Timothy van der Broek has had, into the wall there for Robert van der Heuvel.
That looks like some kind of failure, hardware failure to me, the way he didn't slow down whatsoever in that situation. Let's have another look at it. Look, if you check here, so he exits the corner, he gets a slide on. It does flash.
He doesn't even turn out of it.
It does flash the brake pedal, but only for a short second, and then goes straight across to the other side. Looks very strange to me.
Timothy van der Broek is also out of the race, unfortunately.
Timothy van der Broek. He is there. But in 15th place, this is where he started. I think he's okay. So sometimes if you see a driver blinking for a second, he might be showing us up.
Federico Carli, just having an incident there.
Coming into the pits.
To the pits.
That must be a major one for the Italian. So let's see what's happened to Federico Carli. That's a high-speed one coming into the Porsche Curves, carrying too much speed. And that's
gonna hurt.
Big collection there of the soft barrier. And that might have cost him some damage, but he needs to be careful rejoining at slow speed.
And he hit.
Yeah, he chooses chooses to tow it. So Van der Broek is in the pits here. He's having to wonder whatever happened to Timothy van der Broek. It doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to his car. I'll see if we can find something on it. Well, this was a driver who had an issue before in the second chicane, the Ferrari of Turkish Orkun Kurak. And the number 4 machine now down in 21st position, ahead of Sander Kaffa. Matthew Forrest is still leading, but the two virtual racing compound drivers still very close. And you can see there, as you mentioned, Kim, the Ferrari straight line speed making it very hard for the Lamborghini to displace of Pete Plasto there.
Yeah, it's getting very, very close. Very, very close. And that Ferrari will be able to hold on to that Lamborghini for this whole race.
Yeah, indeed. So it will require a mistake somewhere along the line for Pete Plasto. And you have to wonder with the undercut now. Look here. That's Nicolas Cocato. And he's making the move on Martin de Jong. Or is he just defending it? I think he's defending it indeed from the Dutchman. The two Audis closer than close.
They're going to have a very nice battle going down this second part of the straight about to go into Mulsanne corner. Jose Godino there crashing out as well. Very unfortunate.
Could just be a minor incident for Jose, but he gets turn and slight contact with the wall.
That's very unfortunate. And also Sander Kaffer there going off.
We have to wonder there. You reckon there was a contact between Jose?
No,
no,
there was no contact there. Also, Sander Kaffer having an incident as well.
Oh, and
He's gone off. Sounds like he has suspension damage.
Sander Kaffer with a two-pronged incident here. I'm afraid he gets a spinner, taking too much of the curb. Finds himself pounding in a poor direction there as well. Gets the car turned back. But also wondering, I think, just how he's gonna spin it around. He does manage to come across, so that's the second. We need to be careful there because it's a very high curb there. Could damage the floor of the car or a bit of body work. Oh, and Bruno Guerrez, who started in third place, has had an incident here, and I think that is in the sharp left-hander at Indianapolis. Oh, and
what are you doing?
Oh,
no,
my word, Bruno.
No, Bruno.
That is gonna go down as a very unsafe track rejoin, I'm afraid. And Bruno Guerrez, in his urge to get back running, knowing that he had a good race on his hands, that is a very big shame indeed.
Looked like it was Steven Kral that got crashed into there.
Oh yeah, that is quite possible. So let's see, here he is, Bruno Guerrez. That's after his initial incident, so something happened. You have to wonder, it takes a little bit too much of the curbing there. Comes around just in front of Nick McLaughlin in the that's the Ferrari in 7th place at least. Picks up a little bit of bumper damage as well. Then he's already, he reverses across, wants to come back on. And then it all goes wrong. And that's more than just one, like it's a...
Very unfortunate there.
Very unfortunate. I have to say it's one of those situations where it has repercussions all the way down through the field, as everybody is trying to make their way through on the incident site, and that being a completely. Yeah, a good point. He's coming into the pits. He'll probably need to do so.
Gary Waldron there going off as well.
So a bit of hardships befalling a few of the drivers here, as Alfredo Tricarici is having close company from the Canadian Nick McLaughlin, who finds it closed on the inside. He tries to stick it around the outside of the S's, and that's not the way to go. He could have gotten a run there, but the slight banging of doors there between the two, even a twitch, I think, just of Nick's Ferrari after taking a little bit of front end damage. He'll probably want to just tug along in the slipstream, because I don't think he's gonna have a good time being in front of others with the front end damage he's suffering here. Martin de Jong, fastest lap of the race so far on his last lap. He's dispatched of Nicolas Cocato very well indeed. He told us in chat as well, Martin, that his qualifying didn't quite go to plan, but he's doing a very, very good job of making amends for it as this race is going on. We're 10 minutes into it already on lap 3 here. So much action going down, and look at this here. Cody Steeg, Nuno Vinagre making it 3 wide into the first chicane here.
Wow, 3 into 1 doesn't usually go. Just catching up on what we missed. Dirk Reski has had a crash. Very unfortunate for him. I don't know if we can watch it back, but here we go. So,
yes, indeed. This is Umano Lucioli. That's a major incident in the Forci game. We're just going to catch up on a few incidents around the field. This was the first one that I saw. Just a second look at that. Just what happened coming into a bit of a touch.
The Lamborghini just missed his braking point, I think.
And that first chicane is no place to overtake. Nope. At least not in my experience here. Chris Roberts, that is the Lamborghini of Chris Roberts there in the 77 car, who comes all the way across.
Teammate of Matthew Forrest as well.
And into the pit lane he goes almost, and that's probably, that could cost him a penalty. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. And then Lucioli was a part of this as well. Then Giambattista Giachetti, who was behind these two cars. And this is a separate incident. Giachetti in the BMW and the Audi straight into the wall. And we said it before. that chicane, no place to overtake, and that was Gary Waldron, I'm afraid, in the Audi involved in that incident as well. And then, as you said, Dirk Reski has had a problem as well in the 36 as he slides on the rear, and that's a heavy impact.
Wow!
And a bit of
rolling over as well.
A bit of a bubblegum physics bug there as the car gets turned on its head. Looked very strange, but certainly a hard impact as he comes through the kink into Dunlop too quickly. No downforce between the two cars, blocking all the airflow. Front and rear, finding the car sliding, and that's going to be Dirk Reski's race over, I'm afraid.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Dirk. He had such a good qualifying session, and just a little incident in the race can make all the difference. But that's Lamont, ruthless.
Indeed. Indeed. So,
wow, that's very close to that wall.
Yeah, but you can pick up a lot of speed if you dare to go close, but it's so easy to wash wide and just... Oh, that could be a slowdown for Tricarici in the Virtua Racing Ferrari. I'm not quite sure. Track limits have been getting a little bit more lenient. The thing is, if you pick up a slowdown there on the exit of karting and bring it all the way through the Ford chicane, it'll have grown to a huge penalty by the time you get to the start-finish straight here. But it seems Savino Melillo is not going to have the opportunity to go past unless he's really feeling sandy. I think he's feeling more like defending from Nick McLaughlin. And behind here, oh, he gets a bad run ahead though, Tricarici, and that might open the door up the inside here as they're too wide down towards the S's.
Yeah, it's going up the inside. Is he going to make it? I thought he was going to go for both of them. Yeah, getting very, very close here for all three of these Ferraris, actually. Just looking at the live timing here, Nuno Vinagre from GTZ Bulls is up 13 positions. Amazing drive from him in just 20 minutes into the race. If he keeps going like that, he's up for a very, very good finishing position.
Yeah, very much so. It's incredible to see.
That's a slowdown.
That's going to be a slowdown, I think, on the inside for Cody Steek, who looks to be dropping off. Yes, he is. That makes good sense. Yeah. Back to the three-way fight, the battle of the Ferraris here. Nick McLaughlin.
And they've all swapped positions.
They have indeed.
Every single one of them.
But this is what we're seeing ever so often because of the slipstreams, because of the huge toes that you get here on the mountain, on the straights. It's so easy to swap positions back and forth, and it's also very, very easy to get caught up in infighting, and that's often why we see these big spreads around the field relatively early in the race. As soon as people get caught up in the fighting for minor positions, they're gonna find everybody up ahead just running away with it, and it's one of those tracks where you really have to be patient, and often it's the better strategy to see if you can latch on to the back of a quick pack and make up some ground that way around. Of course, it is possible if you get a very good run and just drive straight past on one of the straights, you can indeed make up quite a bit of time and gain extra speed that way and kind of help one another as you would do in a bike race and kind of take turns on the relay. But
some very hard defending behind there, just saw it out the corner of my eye, with the Lamborghini and the Beamer there of Nuno Vinagre. And oh, sorry, that's my fault.
That's Lucioli and Chris Roberts, who the two combatants from before. We saw them involved in that incident, and yeah, the two. Oh, Lucioli coming across. I don't like the look of that.
That's gonna get very, very hairy soon. Is he going to keep it going? Yes, he is. And that's a tap from the Lamborghini.
Oh,
setting the Lamborghini into the wall.
Though. Turns himself around as the car gets unsettled. The rear gets heavy. And spun has Chris Roberts. And he's down into 14th place. That's another position gain, by the way, for Stephen Orrell, who's up into 13th, having started 25th on the grid in his Mercedes. He's on a mission. He told us he wanted to make up 24 positions on lap 1. He's now made up 11 positions here, and he's on lap 4 of the race. Not even halfway through yet, so I think he'll be relatively happy with that. Nuno Vinagre, as you mentioned before, he's really been moving forward so far this race. He's up into 11th, gaining 14 places, and that is... yeah.
Yeah, it's getting very, very hairy. I think it's going to get even hairier soon when we see some proper battles going on at the end of this race. Is there a mandatory pit stop in this?
Well, there will be a mandatory pit stop because they have a 50% fuel cap, so they won't have enough fuel to finish the race, basically. So expect everyone in around the 30-minute mark of the race.
So that could be very, very interesting, seeing what can happen. Just Savino there. Is he going to get past the Ferrari of VRC? I think he is not. No. VRC holding on there.
Yeah, good point there. Nick McLaughlin doing a very good job of taking advantage of his speed here in the twistier bits of the track. But I think he's going to have a hard time defending, as I mentioned before. Oh, as he sails a little wide, you can see the lack of downforce compared to the GTE machines. When you start talking prototypes, that is a whole different kettle of fish. Greg Thompson, Cody Steek, very close here, side by side, down towards the S's. As I think Steek's passed on the Ferrari here.
Yeah, I think he got past him just about. It's getting very, very close though.
Oh, and I'm afraid we've had a major incident as well for Giambattista Chiacchetti. And the team Gabbiano BMW, he goes off, and he's not going to be able to turn it around, is he? Well, that's not exactly what I thought.
Well, given by the noise that just made. I think when these guys pit, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do and how they do it. If they're going to just take fuel, if some of them are going to take tyres and try and push on. It'd be quite weird if they do take tyres, but it is a possibility. It's a possibility that they take tyres at the same time. I think we should force Matthew to take tyres in every pit stop.
That would certainly even out the series, wouldn't it? The thing is that a tyre stop would add on 30 seconds of time to the car, and I can guarantee you that no one will take tyres at that stop, because there's simply not enough time afterwards to be able to claw back the time loss that it's associated. Of course, in the GT cars here, you're not allowed to change tires while you're refueling the car, and that's why you're losing such an amount of time. That is a bad run from Nick McLaughlin, and it's gonna make him a sitting duck against both Tricorici and Savino Melillo. Melillo's already gotten past Alfredo Tricorici's. Well, he's coming up, but is he just going to be happy sitting behind here?
No one's ever happy about sitting behind.
No, but this
happy
might
about
be...
sitting behind. You should not be driving.
No, but you could be happy sitting behind here at Le Mans. It is one of the places where there isn't always an awful lot to gain from going past, and you can actually go faster sometimes if you're following someone who's got that little bit of extra pace compared to yourself. And you get that slipstream on the straights, and you're able to gauge the braking zone from the car ahead. Might make it a little bit easier. Another thing here, Cameron, as I'm sure you are also well familiar with, is the bumpy nature. Of course, these public highways are maintained, but I don't think they're maintained to anywhere near the level that you'd find on most racetracks around. So very, very bumpy. Oh, and there's that kiss of the outside wall. That's more damage there for Nick McLaughlin.
Yeah, that was just taking a little bit too much speed into that corner, just drifting out wide. It can happen. It definitely can happen in these cars, especially seeing as he's a GT3 and not GTE. So, is he going to pit? Whoa, that was dummying each other into the pits. Just looking at the gap that Matthew has got. Look at that gap. That is incredible. In the Lamborghini as well. Wow, that is outstanding.
Good stuff indeed. And the Argentine duo of Nicolas Cocato and the number 2 Audi for virtual racing it is. and teammate Gaston Macaroni here in the 48 Ferrari, rounding out the top 5. And at the moment, 4 virtual racing drivers within the top 10. So team-wise, the Argentine drivers doing a very, very good job indeed. And then Savino Melillo here in 6th place, as we saw before. I think that infight, you can see Tricorici losing time at the end of this one as well. And I think that kiss of the outside wall through the Porsche Curves is going to be costly for the chances of Nick McLaughlin as well. But let's see here, Cam, we've had a problem for Luke Schneider.
Yeah, I saw that just pop up. I think, yeah, that's what I thought. Just lost it on the curb and lightly tapped the wall. Just keep watching because I didn't know. I didn't know if anything was coming down. I don't think it did. So it would have been uproar.
I think he just...
yeah, there's anything can happen on this track, as we've said right at the start.
The sole Ford GT of the field, driven by Chris Pio, is in a 3-way battle at the moment. Behind him is Orkun Kulak. Ahead of him is Craig Thompson. And he's gonna go for the move here. It is an old machine by now, but it's nice to see the Ford GT still being held on to. And not a lot of drivers are making it their making it their weapon of choice. I was about to say, maybe for good reasons.
I definitely wouldn't.
But it's a cute machine, I think, and it's certainly nice to have it in the field.
Yeah.
It might be getting replaced with the Porsche 911 GT3R, a new arrival to iRacing that's coming to this series for all I know. At least that's what the rumor mill says. And of course my fingers are crossed because it is my favorite GT3 machine, and actually by...
That makes 2 of us.
Yeah, by quite a bit. So, but Chris Pio here, climbing places. Oh, don't cut too much of that curb. It's all about the exit. Oh, it might have been a smart move by Chris Pio, kind of...
Yeah, just backing out.
Slowing down on the exit to kind of block off the exit of everybody else. But he's going to have a big train behind him here. 4 cars all coming down towards the Mulsanne corner. Let's see how it goes in the braking zone. And we're going to have a very good view of this battle. I think if we hop on board on the... Oh, that is not quite what I wanted to do. But here from should be a quite panoramic view of what goes on up ahead.
Yeah, it's a really good view for this because you can see exactly what's happening just up ahead and just behind. Another really good view is the gearbox view from the car ahead, just to see what people are doing down the straight, see how people are defending. And we should... There we go, there it is. And I think we should be getting the next few batches of pit stops coming soon. You can see how bumpy the track is here. That Ferrari is getting very, very close in the braking zones. Hopefully, this number P17 Ferrari will be able to fight for position coming into the pit stops. And another thing we need to think about in pit stops is pit entry, because people don't have the same brakes in pit entry. Some people brake earlier, some people brake later, and some people just take it cautious going into the pits. And it can be very, very dangerous because people do not recognize that the brakes are different on each car.
A good point. Good point indeed. And there's always going to have that slight bit of variation here. Just over the halfway mark. And the round of pit stops is happening. I think we'll have more or less the entire field leading into the pits. Except perhaps for one or two of those drivers that have been in earlier in the race.
Yeah.
If any of those drivers are running. That's a very, very short pit stop from Pete Plastow.
Battista Giacchetti has crashed. I don't know if that was from earlier.
I think that is like what we saw before. Has he had another one? That could be another one. It's not too long ago. That car is definitely damaged already.
Yeah, oh, that was close.
Very close indeed. Be happy to have stayed clear of the traffic from behind. Now I'm having a hard time actually believing this. Just looking here, why did it take so long? What has happened to Matthew Forrest, who's rejoined the race, but in 4th place here? And he's got a pit lane time that's not awfully lot longer than everybody else. So I'm having a hard time actually figuring out just what happened. Meanwhile, Peter Plastow has a huge advantage. And again, his pit time only 2 seconds shorter than Martin de Jong. Of course, Pete Plastow was a fair bit away. But still very surprising to see Matthew Forrest lose this amount of time. And I'm just going to look up through and to see if he actually has encountered some kind of problem here.
Sorry, I was AFK. What did I miss?
Well, Matthew Forrest has fallen down into 4th place, and this might be the reason for it. Let's see here. Second chicane on the Mulsanne straight, Cameron.
Cold tires. Cold tires
well,
on the Lamborghini.
He's not well, he didn't change the tires, and this is before the pit stop, I think.
Whoa.
Oh my word!
That scared me.
That was I think he just comes in a little bit hot. Let's see here. Robot picks up a little bit of curb, a little too quick.
I think. Oh, and he hit the wall as well.
Yeah.
I think because he was sat in the pit lane for so long, and he was going into a hard braking zone. I think that's what did it.
It might very well be. The fact of the matter is that Matthew Forrest is down in 4th place. Peter Plastow second on the championship, now leading. Of course, the two are teammates, but it's not gonna stop them fighting for the title here. And Plastow ahead of Martin de Jong, Nicolas Cucato, and then the aforementioned Matthew Forrest ahead of another one of the virtual racing compound cars. Here is Nick McLaughlin, who's made it up into 5th place ahead of Sabino Melillo, able to take quite a bit of time there as well on the pit stop. So a lot of ground being made up through the pits here, and that's maybe a little bit of a surprise to see just how much that is.
Yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting. That's a bit of damage on Nick McLaughlin's car there. It's gonna be interesting to see what speed he has lost down the straight.
Yeah, but I think he'll be a sitting duck before too long, because he had that slight bit of contact after an incident earlier in the race, and that was down in Indianapolis as he comes into Indianapolis, and then he had that touch of the outside wall in the Porsche Curves later in the race. So he's had 2 touches, and none of them, of course, having aided his chances in any way. That's very clear.
Yeah, I think with this little bit of damage, he's going to be a bit slower. A lot slower, even. I wonder what is going to happen when he hits the Mulsanne. I think he's going to get caught up quite quickly. It's going to be interesting.
Indeed, and this is exactly where it is on the racing here, as we've got the spread up the field. Now here, Chris Pio coming.
He's going to try and go for the move.
Well, he's much too hot into Arnage there, and there's no way of defending that. He's going to lose the position to Craig Thompson. Or is he? Because it seems the Ford GT has quite a bit of grunt here on the straights. Look at this here, Chris Pio. Is he able to pull clear? He is! That is amazing to see the Ford GT.
Amazing. Wow.
He got a terrible exit, and he actually managed to plow clear that Ferrari anyways. So, huge top speed on the Ford GT, and turns out that it might not be the quickest through the corners, but it certainly does have grunt in a straight line, and that's going to be a huge slowdown there for Craig Thompson, going way wide.
That's a shame. I wonder how he's going to be going on the straight. I reckon with that 4GT, it's going to be very, very quick on the straights. But he's going to get overtaken by that Ferrari at some point before the end, when we see the position 18 Ferrari, or sorry, 19 Ferrari, eating the curb through the final chicane.
I think there was Nils. Was that? Oh yeah, the 19 Ferrari with the Audi in 19th place. The number 14 car here of Nils Cornelis seems to have been involved in something as well, and I think that would go for a fair bit of the field, as we saw some hectic opening laps here. And is that Matthew Forrest incident from before? Yes, that is. Just to make sure that he hadn't been involved in another one. Oh, but there has indeed been a big one, I'm afraid, here, because Steven Kral has had multiple issues here, I'm afraid. Or is that just one Long
Nice
string.
save. Oh.
He saves it, but he goes across.
Yeah, and then he had enough. He left.
That,
As is normal.
yeah,
Because
but
if you spin out
that
4 or 5
car.
times,
I'm sorry. Go on.
if you spin out 4 or 5 times, yeah, it kind of gets annoying.
Yeah,
I can vouch. I've done it before.
That car was not in good shape as well. I think we can safely say here Gaston Bordi has had some kind of issue as well. That's in the first chicane, opts for the gravel route. Gonna serve a small penalty for that track limits infringement. And then no more than that, of course.
Yeah.
2/3, by the way, 2/3 of the way through Cam. And,
nice. Just skipping back to the P1 because the interval, or the gap, sorry, is coming down quite a bit.
He has been losing time indeed to Martin de Jong, who has driven a very good race so far.
Sorry, P2, sorry, not P1.
Indeed, and Cucato is coming up from behind as well. Nicolas Cucato, though, had a very short pit stop of just 18 seconds. Of course, you could see people fuel saving and trying to go for that kind of strategy as well. And then put down the hammer here in the final bit of the race. And then we could expect Matthew Forrest to try and make a move on one of these two cars as well within the coming 13 minutes of racing to see if he can pick up points on Pete Plastow there in the championship battle, because in the end it's not going to be a huge blow. It's a comfortable advantage by now, Matthew Forrest, but it's certainly one of these things that can decide a championship. And then to see that huge drift on the exit there of karting from Matthew Forrest. And I'm afraid it didn't go off track and he didn't have any sort of incident. And for that reason alone, I'm not even going to be able to bring up a replay, but he's got some kind of... I think those tires are not cold. I think it's the other way around. I think he's pushed too hard on them, and they're overheating by now. And all grip seems to be gone. And Matthew Forrest, well, he needs to keep it cool here, because that 18-second gap is going to disappear very quickly down to Nick McLaughlin if he keeps on making these mistakes.
It is going to be interesting to see the championship standings at the end of this round, with Matthew dropping down the positions quite quickly, and Matthew Forrest has crashed. Is that the one that we were just looking at? I think it is. Yes, it is. Sorry. Yeah, so I think it's going to be quite interesting to see the championship standings at the end of this round, to see where everyone is sat.
Good point. Good point indeed there, Cameron. And let's see this three-way fight heating up. It's Cody Steek or Kun Kolak. That's the battle for a 15th place, and the closest two cars on track at the moment.
It's going to be interesting.
And up ahead here, Craig Thompson gets a bad run into the chicanes.
The inside going...
Kolak, I think...
Whoa.
Almost had it there, but he got blocked ever so slightly just by a car being up there. Oh, and Nicolas Cucato has gotten past on Martin de Jong, so let's see what's happened here. The Argentine virtual racing driver has been absolutely flying. Maybe Martin de Jong has picked up some kind of penalty, but he's lost second place here. And of course, he should have every chance to get it back as well. And that battle, Cody Steek or Kun Kolak might have gone all wrong. He's got past there, but then goes wide. He collects.
No! Oh, what a shame.
Oh, that's a bit of a hand-in-head moment there for both of them. Such a good battle. Cody Steek initially goes wide, and then Orkun Kolak carries too much speed. He comes out.
Such a shame.
Big shame indeed. Mariano Lasarte, I'm afraid, has had a bit of an issue as well, and that's all by himself. opts for the safer option of cutting the chicane. Cody Steeg, who's now behind Timothy van der Broek. Timothy van der Broek, who's not had the best of races either. But now look at this here. The battle for second place is very, very much alive, Cameron.
Yeah, the battle for second place is always one that I wanted to watch throughout this race because I knew that it was going to be extremely close. And we can see it. We can see how close it is going to be. The gap has been closing up for the whole race. And honestly, I think it's going to get closer than this. Martin de Jong closing in on this Audi. I wonder if he is actually going to get past Nicolas Ducato for the end of the race. The gap being absolutely tiny now, just under a tenth. I wonder if he's going to do it. Maybe not into the chicanes, but maybe. Oh, that's very, very close. The Audi has really good out-of-corner speed, but you've got to remember that the Lamborghini and the Audi do run the same engines, so it's all about the chassis in the corners. I really do wonder when he's going to get past. I really do.
The two Audis, but I think he'll do wisely not to make any rash decisions here, and if he gets past too quickly, he'll just open himself up to additional attacks on the straights. And I think a wise decision from Martin de Jong would be to make sure that he doesn't fall off, that he keeps himself, well, basically where he is right about now, and if he does so, well, then take him on the last lap down towards the Porsche Curves, because there won't be a lot of chances then to really fight back. Because the problem with almost, well, that's 7.5 minutes of racing still to go. It's going to be 2 more laps of racing left here. They'll be able to do this dance many times around as Martin de Jong goes for it this time around, and they're side by side here. I think, though, he's not going to have to run.
We've had another accident from Federico Carli. I think he just goes wide and spins. Yeah. And we've got one from Gambata Giaretti as well.
Giachetti, indeed. Yeah. Oh, that's going to be...
He hit a wall.
I think that's going to be... Oh, that's taken a number of hits now, I'm afraid. It's been a dramatic race.
Oh, Orkan Kolak having an accident as well. Oh, no.
Dramatic seconds, but you can see that car... Oh, that's too much of the final 4-chicane curb. Does a very neat 360, though, there, the Turk. And gains 9 out of 10 style points for that, yeah. I'd say. Not quite a 10 out of 10. You need to rotate the car just that a little bit further. And if it wasn't to be enough already, Cameron, Nils Cornelis as well, and that's in the very same place he goes across.
The tyres are starting to die, aren't they, after 45 minutes? Just getting hot. Just go back to the live racing. I think this is going to get very close between P2 and P3. Just here watching Emanuele Lucioli going up the inside through the second chicane.
Yeah, trying to get past on Chris Roberts and the Lamborghini. And these two have a bit of prehistory. They've been locked together for a big part of the race. They've had a little bit of a touch together, but they've kept on racing one another. They're able to enjoy themselves quite well here. Sells him the dummy.
What a move.
Throws it
Selling him the dummy.
Throws it up the inside. That's incredible.
Up the inside now into the second chicane. Cody not very happy about something. Up the inside of the second chicane, and he has made the move stick quite easily. But just watching on, I wonder if the Lamborghini is going to be able to get past. Just moving over to the Ferrari battle here, going through Mulsanne corner.
And now back here with the Audis and that battle for second, as Nicolas Cocato is going to try to find a way to figure out what he's going to do about Martin de Jong.
It's very close. He is... What a drive. Look how close that is.
This is the amazing part of this gearbox, Cam. You mentioned it, Cam.
Yeah, you can see how close they're driving. See how close they're driving. See, just you can see the bumps, and you can hear this. Let's just listen. What a sound from these Audis. Is he going to go for the move up the inside? We need a bigger camera angle. Is he going to go for the move up the inside into one of these corners?
It would be a rash and a bad decision as well, I'm afraid. Now behind him, or behind these two, it's Matthew Forrest, Nick McLaughlin. Matthew Forrest having lost time on these as well. Then Savino Melito, who's pretty much on his own. Lost a bit of ground up to Nick McLaughlin, but he's managed to dispatch of Tricorici, well, some time ago. The Holy Cow driver, the Italian. I say the Holy Cow sim racers paint jobs are looking quite stylish as well. I had a good question the other day if the black dots were bugs on the car, and I'd like to imagine it being bugs that have been squished out at high speeds, but I think it's supposed to be, I think it is, as indeed the rubber marbles that get thrown up and cause a bit of dirt.
This is going to be very, very close going into the first chicane, down the first Mulsanne straight. Is he going to go for the move? He's moving out. Nicholas Cucato defending extremely hard against Martin de Jong. Martin de Jong on the outside. Is he going to stick around the outside? He does! Round the outside through the first chicane, down the Mulsanne. That is an amazing move from Martin de Jong, but it's not over yet. Nicholas Cucato, is he going to go for the same move that he just got done on himself, going through the first chicane? He's been forced to the outside by Martin de Jong. They're side by side going into the second chicane. Oh, and he's got through. He's got through on the live timing. He just has to brake later. And Martin de Jong braking as late as he dares, keeping that position. But again, it's not over. There's another straight to go, going into Mulsanne corner.
Kato gets the exit yet again, and that's the thing here with the racing at Le Mans, that you might be able to throw in the overtake, but if you're not able to get the exit out the corner, you're just going to be a sitting duck yet again, and it's going to be this heavy defending time and time again. It's very costly on time, and it does have a tendency to become risky as well here into Mulsanne corner. Nicolas Cucato retakes second. We've had a problem yet again here for Matthew Forrest.
Yeah, I think he's just going to hit the curb, and then he's going to... In the wall? Is that the wall? He's met the wall there. Oh, no. That's very, very bad news for Matthew Forrest. Has he got any front-end damage? Doesn't look like it, as it was a tyre wall.
So that's a lucky escape, I think, for Matthew Forrest, but he's only 3 seconds clear of Nick McLaughlin, who's coming up from behind now, and... could be a points lost there for Matthew Forrest in the championship fight if he's not careful. Martin de Jong now ahead of Cucato, and let's see how that last move came to be. So that's out of the Mulsanne corner. That has to have been a bad, either a very bad exit. That must have been a slowdown. Slow down, indeed. Yeah, of course. So a slowdown, and. Is it going to be enough? I don't think it's going to be enough, though. It's just about a second. So if Martin de Jong can put up a really good run here through the Porsche Curves, he could put Nicolas Cucato out the slipstream and put this battle to rest.
Coming on to the final lap as well.
Yeah, indeed. Just seconds away from it. But you can see here, Peter Plastow.
Is this the checkered flag?
No, there's going to be one more lap. 30 seconds to go. So it's going to be white flag this lap. So the final lap for Peter Plastow leads by over 10 seconds, a comfortable margin. As the gap's now really blown up here to almost 2 seconds, Cucato is struggling. And Martin de Jong's putting down the hammer. This is the chance for the Dutchman to really take it home. He's driven a good race.
This is going to be very, very interesting going into the final lap. I think, honestly, he's going to get him. I have the feeling. I'll put £10 on it right now. £10. He's going to get him.
£10.
I don't know how he's going to do it. Yes! I got tenner! I won a tenner! No! Commentator's curse.
We never agreed on anything.
Commentator's curse. I am so sorry. That was incredible
Martin
timing.
de Jong.
Wow. Whoa,
death-
that's a shame. Final lap
And
of the race.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cameron Horse, the death of impartial commentary is here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
But
right,
that's
it.
heartbreak
That's my
for de
career
Jong.
over.
That's
My career over.
That's Nico Rosberg standing ahead, right in front of a big explosion pointing your way, indeed. Martin de Jong, though, heartbreak for him. Has driven such a good race, but a strong curse is what you hold on to. Now, let's see. It would have to be a very big mess up for Nicolas Cocato if this is to go wrong for him. Matty Forrest still ahead of Nick McLaughlin. He's taken back a bit of time, and I think that might be down to him still having more speed in his car. Melillo is some way behind Nick McLaughlin, so I don't think the Italian is going to be able to make his way into the top 5 today. But it's been a good drive.
From Peter Plastow as well. Getting, just leading from the pit stop. It will be very interesting if we can get Matthew Forrest in here after, just to find out what went on in his pit stop. Is that something that we'll be able to do?
Very much so. Now look at the flying Ford GT here of Chris Pio. He's just gotten past on Emanuele Duccioli. And that's taken him up into 12th place. He's kept his nose clean. I think he's looking to finish another round as the safest driver of the field and increase his lead in that part of the standings, as well as he is looking to see if he can pick up some points here today. Oh, and it's been a big incident here at the very final moment for Bruno Guerrez. Look at this here. The Portuguese, who qualified in 3rd in his Mercedes, takes a perfect 180 spinner, puts it on the grass, reverses back onto the track. That's not advised, but okay, if you got the relative open and know that no one's behind, well, that's certainly better than. And then Jose Coutinho and Stephen Orrell here back to back.
Side by side.
Yes,
Going through
indeed.
Mulsanne corner. Is this going to be the pass for top 10? I don't think it is yet. Oh, sorry, pass for 9th. I thought it was top 10. That's my bad. Pass for 9th. I don't think it is yet, but it's not over. There's the final straight, the Golf Straight, as we're calling it. Turning left into the Indianapolis S's. I wonder if he's going to sort it out and get it done. I don't think he is.
At least
I
not,
really don't.
At least not for now. It's going to take quite some run here. He still does have a chance, and it is still very close. But 0.4 of a second. The question if he's going to be able to make it here. But Pete Plastow takes the checkered flag.
What a drive by Pete Plastow.
Wins.
Incredible.
Wins.
P2 there from Nicolas Gucato. I think that's his first podium.
Yes, indeed it is. And Martin de Jong does end up getting 3rd, but a bit of heartbreak there for the Dutchman. Matthew Forrest, the championship leader.
Incredibly, championship leader, P4. I'd really like to know what happened to Matthew Forrest.
And then that fight for 9th place going all the way to the line. Coutinho still trying to put the pressure here on Stephen Orrell, as we've got drivers finishing up ahead as well. But it seems Orrell is keeping it cool, or is he? There's still going to be the line. Oh,
No! So close. He was pushing so hard to get that final position. And yet, when you push that hard, that is usually the consequence.
Very much so.
Going to go extremely wide.
Great drive.
Yeah,
Nuno Vinagre here, he gained 18 positions. Stephen Orrell gained 15 positions. And 18 positions gained for Chris Pio, finishing in 12th place. And that's Lasarte almost coming to a full stop at the exit of the Ford chicane. I'm wondering if that might be damage or a car running out of fuel. Well, we've seen that as well here before on the Mount. Still drivers finishing here is Craig Thompson. He's over the line.
Stephen Orrell, by the way, gained Let's just look at
He gained 15 places.
15
starting
places.
20.
Chris Pio gained 18. That is amazing.
That's massive indeed. Cornelis right ahead of Orkun Kolak. Up ahead is Gaston Boré, and he's finished. Cody Steeks across the line. Here comes Cornelis.
We do have the pleasure to hear from our race winner, Pete Plastow, very, very shortly.
And indeed, yeah, we do have the interviews. Usually we have the results up on screen, and then as soon as we come through the results, we'll go right over to the driver interviews. We'll have a few of them waiting. They know the drill by now. Bruno Guerrez, I'm afraid he's had a race to forget tonight. It was looking so good with that late blast lap in qualifying. Doing such a good job. And then it all unraveled for him in the end and throughout the race here. And he's going to end up 21st.
What a shame.
A big shame indeed. But that's the way of racing. It's often also when you find yourself in a position and with the potential to do something, the pressure can be hard to deal with. And it's, you know that you need to really be on it. And then, of course, when going quick, the margins are just always every bit closer. And I think Bruno Guerrez, he found out the hard way today as he crosses the line indeed. We do have results ready. So Pete Plastow takes the win ahead of Nicolas Cucato. It's Martin de Jong in third ahead of Matty Forrest and Nick McLaughlin. Savino Melillo just missing out on a top 5 finish today. Ahead of Nuno Vinagre, Alfredo Tricorici, Stephen Orrell, and Jose Godinho. That makes off the top 10. Then Chris Roberts and another Chris, that is Pio in 12th. Mariano Rosate and Craig Thompson in 14th. Then Timothy van der Broek, Gaston Bode, Cody Steek, and Nils Cornelis. In 19th place, Orkun Kolak ahead of Timo Paya, Bruno Guerrez, Emanuele Lucioli, and Giambattista Giacchetti. Then Luke Schneider, Federico Carli, Gaston Macaroni in 26th place ahead of Steven Kral, Sander Kaffa. And the bottom few drivers there, Dirk Reski, Gary Waldron, and Robert van den Heuvel along the unlucky souls of this race today. A great race, great entertainment, I think, and nice to have you along in the booth for this one, for your very first broadcast, Cam. It's certainly been a pleasure. I hope you feel the same way. And with that said,
thank you, Hans. We do have some interviews though.
I was just about to say, with that said, let's get the interviews going. And would you like to have one on your first day here?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll have Pete. I'll take the race winner.
Race winner, Pete Plastow. Here he is with Cameron Horse.
Hello, Pete.
Hello, how are you?
I am very good. That was an amazing drive from you right there. Tell us a little bit about your race.
From the start, I knew for a fact that I wasn't as quick as Matt. So it's just hang on to him for as long as I possibly could, and hopefully he'd tow me away from the rest of the field, which is pretty much what happened.
Yeah, we were noticing your extreme pace coming through at some very, very awkward times. I don't understand how you did it. Just give us a little bit of an inside look into what Matthew was doing and how he was pulling away so much, and how you gained the position.
I have no idea why he's so fast. He seems to pull away from me on every exit, and luckily around here you can draft, so I was catching him back up on the straights. But I've got no idea how he's doing what he's doing, how he's so much faster. Luckily he was only sort of 5/10 faster than me probably, so I could hang in his draft and he could pull me along, like I say.
Yeah.
And then eventually he made that mistake, and that was my ticket to the win, basically.
Yeah, I was watching how you were driving. It was so was the whole stream. We all agreed it was incredible to watch. Just how you were pulling away from Matthew in some corners, and how you got the win. in the end, I would really like to talk to Matthew to figure out how he did it, and why he lost so much time in the pit lane. But yeah, you did really, really well, and it was an amazing performance. Just one more question though.
Yeah.
How is the Ferrari around Lamont? Because there is many different views and many different people that say many different things about the Ferrari. How does it drive? Does it understeer? Does it?
The Ferrari is all I drive GT3 wise, so I'm pretty used to it. Round Le Mans, it seems to lack a little bit on the straights. I couldn't really catch Matt, as in make a move on him, because he was just so quick down the straights. I think he was running a bit less wing than me. But through the corners, I was really happy, especially in that final sector where it's a little bit technical. I was really happy through there, and I found actually that I could catch him a little bit through that. I don't know whether he was just taking it a bit easy in the Lambo. I know it's a bit tricky to drive that one. I think yes.
Okay.
That was the case. Yeah.
Well, thank you for popping in for a little interview.
Cheers.
We'll keep you updated with the championship standings, but it was an incredible race, and congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a good one.
You're welcome. Yeah, you too.
So that was Cameron Horse with Pete Plaster. We're gonna jump right into the next one. That's Nicolas Cocato, our second place finisher and first time on the podium. Nicolas, congratulations! A very strong race for yourself. And how does it feel?
Hi guys, it feels great. Taking into account that yesterday evening was my first lap on this circuit. So I could manage to learn the track quickly and made a good setup for the race.
Well, that's rather impressive, to be honest, and I have to say, a very nice battle, very entertaining you had there with Martin de Jong over the final bit of the race. What went through your head as you saw his car spinning there at the beginning of the final lap?
I feel sorry for him because I thought that we could have a great battle on the last lap, but well, I'm happy with P2. So yeah, we had a great battle with him. We nearly took a few times on the end of the straight, but yeah, nothing's.
Well, indeed, you take the positions in the end, don't you? Fantastic, and a very gentlemanly approach, I think, Nicolas. Thanks for joining us in the booth for an interview, and congratulations on your first podium of the series. I'll let you off to enjoy it. But
Second one.
Oh, my apologies. Yeah. Oh, I have very poor memory.
That was on me. I'm sorry.
No. I was taking responsibility, Cameron. Anyways, Nicolas, thanks for joining us. And before we let you go and celebrate the podium, is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Obviously, thanks to Robert for making the league possible, and to all the guys at Virtual Racing Team for their support.
Well, thank you, Nicolas, for joining us, and hope to see you soon again here in the booth in the next coming rounds.
Let's hope. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So that was Nicolas Cocato, and we're gonna move on with our third place finisher, last of the podium finishers, Martin de Jong. I'm guessing it must be well, if not heartbroken, then let's just say slightly annoyed after such a moment on the final lap there.
Yeah, I hate myself. I mean, this is.
Sorry.
This is the third time in a row I do this. Either final lap or towards the end of the race. I mean, I was watching my relative, and I really needed to have like 1.8 seconds in front of Cocato because he had a damn fast setup on the straights, and I knew I could keep the gap in the corners. So I just outdid myself again. Dived too deep into the corner while braking, and then at first I had it, but then I just made a stupid mistake by just slamming it on the throttle again. Yeah, and took myself out like that. but in the end, it was it was stupid, just a stupid mistake. But at least a podium this time.
And that's at least something to pick up a third place from it. And taking into consideration, you seem to have a very promising pace in qualifying as well, but not really able to get it on the timing board there. But coming from 6th and through up to the podium, certainly not bad. Now we're at the halfway point of the season, Martin. What is your prospects there of the second half? How are you gonna approach things?
Well, I think I'm not quick enough for the championship. I mean, Matthew is blistering fast. Okay, like today, he made a mistake, of course. But in the end, I think I'm very happy when getting podiums. Maybe a win here and there. Yeah, and just have fun. I mean, the battle with Kakato, for example, was really intense. I really enjoyed it. At a few moments there, but the same was the other way around. So yeah, I just hope for more close racing. That's actually it.
Well, close racing, I think it's all we get here in the Sunday GT Masters. So I think your wishes is indeed going to come through, Martin, and come true. Come true. I think you could even for once say both. Anyways, before we let you off the hook, and I think I'm gonna hold back on saying maybe celebrate too much with that kind of a race finish, but nevertheless it is a podium indeed. Before we let you off the hook, Martin, is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks or a shout out to?
Thanks again to Robert for the series, of course, and you guys for doing an awesome job on the commentary. Yeah, and looking forward for the next part of the season. So hope to see everybody alive and kicking after the summer.
Well, indeed, thank you, Martin. Thanks for joining us in the booth for another interview. It's been a pleasure, and as always, it's a pleasure to see you race as well. I hope to see you here in the booth again in the second half of the season.
Yes, hope to see you guys too.
So that was Martin de Jong, and with that, Cameron, it's been a pleasure having you along for your very first broadcast here on the channel, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. We've come to the end of proceedings for today, and before we round off, is there anything you'd like to add here at the end of things?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you for SRWTV, SimRacers World, for having me on their stream. It has been incredible fun. The commentating with you has been amazing. The racing was really, really good. It was very, very close. There were incidents. There was everything you want in a really good race. So the racing was brilliant, as always. And I can't thank the organisers enough for putting this series on. It's very, very well done. And if anyone in stream is looking for a series to race, I recommend contacting these guys for maybe the spots for the end of this season, if not next season, because it is a very, very, very good series.
Much fun indeed. Thanks for joining me in the booth, and thank you all for joining us here on SimRacers TV, SimRacers World TV. I am a tired man. Feel I've been up all night driving. Things are unraveling for me as well, and I shall need a good night of sleep here tonight. Anyway, thank you for joining it. It has been an absolute pleasure having you all along. And if you like what we do here on the channel, do leave us a like, and remember to subscribe if you want to see more great racing action from the world of iRacing indeed. My name is Hasse Rømer. I've been joined by Cameron Horse, and until next time, it's take care, have fun.